Welcome to Almost Fast Racing. In this video, I'm going to attempt to move the drivetrain and some suspension from my 1988 BMW 325i. It works perfectly fine, besides the fact that it's a convertible and can't be used for Spec E30 racing, which I really want to do. So I bought a 1990-ish BMW 325i coupe that has no motor or interior, and then I got it stripped down the rest of the way so it's just a chassis. There's no way I'm going to screw this swap up, especially while trying to do the swap, rush it, and get it done within 24 hours. But before we tear everything out of my perfectly functioning convertible, we're going to take it for one last peaceful, nice sunrise drive. So I'm just going to put some nice music on.
Running and driving convertible.
Alright, we got it pulled into the garage where the coupe is already waiting for its parts. And as you can see, the convertible is running and ready to go. First thing I'm going to do is turn it off, then disconnect the battery out of the car. Chuck that off to the side. We won't need that for a little bit. Car up on jack stands so we can start taking the wheels off, getting the suspension disconnecting, get the fluid out. Alright, to make my life a lot easier, we're just going to take the hood right off this car, and that way we have like complete easy access to everything in the engine bay. And nothing. Then we're just going to start disconnecting wires, disconnecting all the hoses, disconnecting all the coolant lines. Then we're going to jump quick because I have ADD to the rear suspension, get those struts out of there, and then we'll get and drain the diff fluid. And then we'll disconnect the rear axles. Oh, I should probably put the parking brake on. There we go. It was a lot easier to hammer the Allen socket in there, and it did not strip any of the bolts. And then before we get back to work on everything else, we're going to spray some penetrating fluid on all the bolts holding the different ends. So now we got it all set here, nice and level. We're going to try to get the coolant drained out and the oil drained out. Alright, so we got another time check. It's 8:30-ish. I should be showering and getting ready for work soon. Still unfinished, but we've got oil drained. Coolant is pretty much drained. Nice mess made there. Nothing over here, nothing over here. Old shocks are out. Diff is mostly disconnected. Just gotta get a jack under there, and there's a few bolts. Springs are out. Yeah, so not too bad so far. Goal for, I guess, pre-midnight is get this rolled back out of here in some way, shape, or form. But I gotta go to work, so see you guys in the car. Here we go, off to work. Right, and I'm back from work, and it's lunchtime. So while I'm eating lunch with my greasy fingers, we are going to take the engine wiring harness off the ECU and pull it through the firewall as carefully as I can manage to do anything. We'll get that zip tied on top of the engine at some point so it doesn't fall in our way. All right, next thing we want to get out of the way is the radiator, because that's actually in good condition, and I don't want to break that. So we'll disconnect our coolant lines, dump more coolant on the floor, because why not? We'll get this pulled up and out of the way. Not sure why that's covered in mud. Who knows? With the air box out of the way, it's easy enough to remove, and it makes life much easier. Next, we got to get the mid pipe removed, so we just have the headers left on the engine, and these are always a pain. I don't know if anybody has an easy way to get these, but I always struggle. All right, we'll get the heat shield out so that we can get the drive shaft disconnected from underneath the car. I'll try to do it without punching myself in the face, but usually end up punching myself in the face.
Ow.
Now we got the drive shaft disconnected from the differential. We're gonna try to remove the differential the rest of the way from the car. So we got a couple bolts kind of stuck on there. So we'll break out the cheater pipe, and we have our nice transmission jack, which makes removing the differential nice and easy. And now comes the good time. So my plan strategy for pulling the motor out, instead of doing the way I've done it before in the past of just disconnecting the motor from the front subframe and pulling it straight out of the top with the transmission attached, the engine hoist has a nice, I can put some wood down, has a nice flat section. I can just unbolt the subframe from the car and just lower everything at once onto there, and then hoist the car up out of the way and slide out. So unfortunately, what I wasn't thinking of is that I can't lift the car with the hoist and slide out everything laying on the hoist at the same time. So that caused a whole time delay of putting things back together and trying to figure things out. And so what we're going to do is we're probably not going to be able to swap everything over into the white car tonight. So what we're going to do is I'm going to pull the rest of the body panels that I will be using on the white car off. And since I couldn't do everything in the 24-hour time span, I'm going to actually end up doing everything correctly. So I'm going to remove all the old bushings out. Here I'm using fire to do it because it made it so much easier, and we got a nice clean removal of the old rubber. We're going to replace them with polyurethane bushings, so it'll be much stiffer for the race car. And we're going to wire wheel, rust treatment, and repaint all of the suspension components and the car itself even. So that way it'll be much better when it's done, and hopefully we'll have something that actually looks halfway decent. But judging by the way the disassembly of this car went, I'm not quite sure how the reassembly of the white car is going to go. So I guess tune in next time to see what I can do. Thanks for watching.